Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Group Chat. We got a hot episode. We're going to close out the week strong. We got our good friend Michael Katz in the building.
Yeah, Michael Katz, CEO and co-founder of mParticle, coming by. Gonna have a little chat. We're gonna talk about what's happening in tech, what's happening with mParticle, and then action-packed episode.
Action-packed episode. We got a lot to talk about. There's a war going on, unfortunately, still. According to Dee, it's going to wrap up here pretty soon. So maybe wait to hit up the gas station.
Yeah.
I think tomorrow things are going to look a lot better.
We talk a lot about Jean-Yuhs.
Jean-Yuhs, yeah. Mm-hmm. Great bit of content. We're going to talk about that. And then all sorts of, I mean, we got to kind of run the whole list here. We're talking Amazon. We're talking Russian billionaires. We're talking fanatics.
American billionaires.
Yeah, we're talking the whole thing. We're running the whole gamut. So let's get into it. Who's ready?
Let's go.
Let's go.
Cash.
Ladies and gentlemen, Group Chat.
Cash.
It's $1 trillion. Hot.
All right, before we get into the episode, we have to introduce our dear friend Michael Katz in the building. Welcome, Michael.
Hey, good to see you guys.
He's been on the episode before.
Yes.
We've spoken at his conference once.
Yeah, that was one of our first live shows.
Yeah. We felt like stars.
Yeah, you
I
made us
got a
feel,
lot of great feedback about that.
Yeah, that was a very fun time. And since then, your company has really grown dramatically. And I think when I don't really talk to a lot of founders or ask questions or even, to be fair, care what they have to say. But you're the one person that I actually truly respect and if I want to ask something, like I feel very comfortable asking you and very, very much respect your feedback. And I think one of the reasons why is, one, you've done it before. This is like one of many startups you've had and obviously exited. And then the other, I think, is more of like I always feel like you're a student. You're always learning. Mm-hmm. Like you're always talking about books you read or conversations you're having. And I think that's like so important because the older you get and the more experienced you get, you actually, I think people counterintuitively think, oh, you don't need to, I know everything now.
Yeah.
Because when you talk to a 24-year-old entrepreneur, they know everything. They're the smartest person in the room.
Totally.
Right? And you talk to anyone that's seasoned, their humility, as you go, you really don't know anything. Mm-hmm. You're just kind of winging it as you go along.
Yeah, entirely.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's fascinating just to hear your take on just entrepreneurship in general. But what?
Well, thank you for the kind words.
Yeah, of course, man. Consider you a very close friend. What is mParticle up to? Because I know when you were on, I think it was like 2 years ago, probably longer.
Yeah, it was pre-pandemic, for sure.
Yeah, almost 3 years ago. You were a few years into the business, and you had done some fundraising, and you were onboarding customers. But now it feels like some of the hires you guys have made, you guys are in a different stratosphere. What happened?
Well, I think like before there's ever like great growth, there's usually a little bit of turmoil. So I think like while I was on the pod last time, so I think it was like midway through 2019, we were going through some growing pains, and I kind of just had to take a hard look at like my commitment to the business, my desire to keep growing and learning. And I think like at the time we talked about, like I just started working with an executive coach, and I think like one of the best things ever to happen to us was like some of those growing pains in 2019. Because it forced me to kind of like shift a lot of my mental models in terms of like how businesses are run. And we just like, we uncovered that like there was, well, I think like what ends up hurting a lot of businesses is not like you get like bad people. You don't have like just a bunch of assholes running amok. Yeah. You see that more in like big companies. It's usually like people who care, they're working hard, they're doing the things that they think that they should be doing, but those things ultimately create like local maxima versus like a global maxima. And so it's a lot of like micro adjustments that none of them on their own are all that like profound or interesting, but like the sum total of it ends up kind of like totally transforming a company. And for me, like I had this kind of big realization in 2019 that like businesses are just systems, like systems in kind of like the truest sense, not like the technical sense. And it's about the interactions and like the quality of the interactions that ultimately produce either a great output or a not so great output. And that system is combined, is composed of, you know, a bunch of combinations of different people, different functions, the information that they have, the incentives. Are they aligned to do the right things? Are they rewarded for doing the right things? And it like having like kind of getting backed into a corner back in 2019 and saying like, shit, I got to figure this out.
Yeah.
Really only kind of left us like one choice, which was to figure it out. And we've been on a great trajectory, I think, ever since. Now, great trajectory doesn't always mean like just like smooth up and to the right. Like a lot of the times it's, you know, 3 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, half a step back, that kind of thing. But at some point you do kind of like get through a lot of that, like that messiness, like the messy middle as they call it. And you get to a point where, it's really just about like how fast can you go? Because you've eliminated as much of that friction. You've aligned people. You've aligned like compensation and incentive structures. You have the information systems in place. Like I'm fortunate enough. Like right now, I'm at a I'm in town because we're doing an executive offsite down in Santa Monica, and I just like the past few days working with this team. Like it's awesome. Like I can't even count the number of times I've kind of just like looked around the room where somebody's talking and they make an awesome point, and like I'm just so grateful for the folks around you, because like you're only ever going to be as good as like your weakest link.
Yeah. And
like right now there are no like weak links on our executive team, and I think that like it's definitely coincided with our trajectory over the course of the past year or so.
And so do you think, like, I guess taking a step back, how would you explain mParticle to the listener?
Yeah, so we're customer data infrastructure. So I think one of the things that has become apparent over the course of the past couple of years is digital is at the kind of heart of any brand's customer experience, right? Yeah. And if you have a digital strategy, you probably have like multiple touch points, right? And those things are always in flux. You may have a site, app experiences. If you're in retail, there may be like point of sale systems. If you're in media, you have to have digital properties across like all the different connected TV platforms. And so data is created in lots of different places. And if you're not able to first merge that information intelligently, it all looks disjointed. I have to know if I'm a brand owner, if I'm a CMO, if I'm an executive, what does that customer journey look like, right? And so one of the things that we help our customers with is being able to first just easily ingest all that data from where it's being created, to unify it appropriately. And then in the process of getting it out to the different like analytics systems and marketing systems and customer success systems and all the different places where they end up sending data to, make sure that they don't succumb to like data chaos. Because I think the thing that we've seen in the ecosystem over the course of the past couple of years is like everything is constantly in flux. And I know you guys have talked about some of this stuff in various episodes, but like the changes to iOS and what you can track and not track, like Apple and Google are always changing the rules on everybody.
Yeah.
Even internally, like you spin up new landing pages, you wind them down, you optimize them, teams run experiments and campaigns, and you want to get the results of those things out to lots of different tools. And you may use one tool for one thing, and then a new tool comes to market, and you want to shut that one down and spin. Like everything is constantly in flux. And so we simplify all of that.
Okay, so I know like you guys have like big customers.
Yep.
How do you think a small business could use it?
I think the challenges that we help solve around data quality, data governance, and integration or connectivity are universal in nature, right? Because they are so core to being able to execute any digital strategy, right? So we're not bound by geography or company size or vertical. If you have a digital presence and you aspire to drive growth, you're going to have to get a hold of all of your data and make it easy to integrate it into lots of different places.
So if you're a D2C startup that's knows you have some sort of like customer demand and you've had some early success, but you're not kind of the most technically savvy person, how would they interact with mParticle? So let's say you have, an Instagram account, you may have an app, you have a site, you're selling stuff, it's all digital. How do they interact and understand what you kind of just explained and how it applies to their business?
Absolutely. So like in that example, maybe they're running their e-commerce experience on Shopify. So first thing that they can easily do is just go to like the Shopify app store, app exchange, and connect their data automatically out from Shopify into mParticle.
Okay.
Part of what mParticle does is it provides like a low code, no code tool for connecting your data to all the different tools that you're going to use to run and ultimately grow your business, right? And so if you're not technical, that's fine. A big part of our value proposition is ultimately about reducing engineering dependencies, because you go into mParticle once your data's in and you go in the interface and you select what tools you want to send data to. You can copy paste your credentials, basically like an API key or like a username and a password. And data will start moving in real time from mParticle to whatever tool that you want to use. Say it's like an analytics tool. Charts will start populating with information, and like there's no engineering required. So it's just about being able to move much faster.
Yeah, what's interesting is our mutual friend Nahal, we were talking about like there's so many tools now. Like if you're starting, say, an e-commerce business, you basically don't need to have any engineering power. Like at least in the early days, because you can use Shopify to spin up your app, you can use mParticle to manage your data, like there, and so on and so forth. Like Stripe for your payment processing, and these tools have become so fucking valuable because once you're in the ecosystem, as you know, like the flywheel of customers that come to you, like everyone has to use you.
Totally.
And so where I'm segueing to is like really why these companies are so valuable. Because I think the listener, we talk about SaaS software companies, and we'll see like a company that does like $100 million in revenue, but is worth like $50 billion.
Yeah.
So, and for us, just like laymen's, we're like, what? And then I'll talk to somebody who's in a D2C business doing $100 million, $20 million of profit, and they're worth like $150 million, right? What is it? Why are SaaS companies valued like this? Because you're in the business. What cocaine are you guys selling to investors?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's about predictable revenue, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the nice thing with like the SaaS business model, right? You get predictable recurring revenue where as long as you're continuing to innovate on your product and you're providing great support or customers experience, like you're going to be able to, at least in theory, retain your customers and then over the course of time sell more to them.
Yeah.
Right. And so you have compounding effects. And so you look at like some of the net dollar retention metrics for some of the most valuable SaaS companies in the world. I think what Snowflake just reported yesterday, I mean, they took a beating because of soft guidance, but their net dollar retention was 178%.
What does that mean?
So it means that if you spent $1 with them as a customer last year, you're spending $1.78. Like you're basically doubling how much you're spending with them every year.
And we don't even know what they do.
Yeah, can you tell us what Snowflake does? We talk about it a lot with no idea of what the company does.
It's a great name, though.
It is a great name, yeah. And they have an incredible CEO in Frank Slootman. I don't know if you've ever like read
People talk about him like he's the smartest guy in the world.
He is just like, in terms of being an operationally minded CEO, he's just like, he's relentless.
And he's like 60, right?
Yeah, he's done it a few times before. Previous, he was the CEO of ServiceNow.
Another company, I have no idea what they do.
But we've played options on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we aggressively played options on it.
Made and lost a lot of money on ServiceNow. And before that, he was the CEO of a company called Data Domain, which is like data backup. But Snowflake they're a data warehouse. So obviously, like with the explosion of digital and various digital channels, like your data is an asset, right? And so you don't necessarily always need to use all of your data kind of like right then and there, but you want to be able to access it. So the general idea is like it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. So you dump all your data to a cloud data warehouse, and then when you query it for like analytics, or you need to access it to drive personalization, they charge you on like kind of a metered basis every time you're
that makes sense.
They charge you. There's two components to it. There's like the amount of storage, so the kind of bigger pile of hay, the more it costs, and then every time you're jumping into that pile of hay looking for the needles in the haystack, they're charging you for compute.
Got it.
And that's really where like a lot of the cost comes from.
But isn't
the
it like
compute.
an AWS? Can't you store your data with AWS and just, or are they just really?
You can.
Okay.
You can. So AWS, like their alternative product is Redshift.
Okay.
And I think that like for a couple of years, the conventional thinking was like, well, why would anybody use anything besides like what's already offered on AWS? But Snowflake has just built a better product.
Got
it.
So are AWS and Snowflake, you would only use one of the two?
No. So you would only use, in theory at least, either Redshift or Snowflake.
But you can still store your data in AWS.
Yeah, exactly. So for Snowflake, it works on AWS, it works on Google Cloud Platform, it works on Azure.
Why haven't they blocked them out if they have a competing product?
Because they have lots of products, and they still end up driving a bunch of business to their ecosystem. So it's like,
they make so much on AWS. Why would you?
Yeah.
So not financial advice, but Snowflake's a pretty good company then.
It's a great company, and they have a great team too.
Got it.
Yeah.
And trading at lows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not financial advice.
I didn't see what like the.
It ended up at like 222. So in the after hours at 188, which would have been an all-time low.
Yeah.
I think 222 is like a near all-time low.
It's crazy how much of a beating some of these companies are taking.
Yeah.
So that's another good segue. How does that affect what you're going to do with your company? Because like you've raised serious capital.
Yeah.
How do you kind of foresee your future? What are people telling you in your world?
I mean, to be honest, I'm just taking it one day at a time.
Okay.
But I'll say this: like
Not going to SPAC it up.
No.
Chamath? You don't have to say anything.
Not so much, but like it's definitely started to spill over into the private markets because multiples have compressed to more of like where they have been historically. I think like most growth stocks are down like 60%.
Yeah, I'm feeling the pain of it.
Yeah. Anybody who has them in their portfolio is definitely feeling the pain. I know I am too.
Yeah.
But I think it's a temporary decline based on a market overreaction. You look at like what happened with Snowflake, and like they're crushing numbers. It was like 100% growth year over year, which is unheard of at their scale. 178% net dollar retention, like just knocking the cover off the ball. But then they're saying they're expecting to grow like 83% in Q1 and 65% for the year, which is still like fucking incredible. Mm-hmm. You know, the game that everybody plays when you're messaging your expectations is like you want softball numbers that you can beat. And so I think everybody's going to beat these numbers, and the market's going to renormalize. And then if there's a kind of setback, or there's been a reset in valuation, both publicly and privately, all of it's going to come back.
Yeah,
like it always does.
Have you heard in the private markets, because I know you talk to all these folks, has sentiment changed at all, or everyone's like, let's just keep working, keep deploying capital, find great companies, or is there any momentum shift at all?
Oh, I think that there's been a ton of momentum shift. I think people were doing stupid stuff over the summer last year. I mean, I personally have a couple of early stage investments that I made, and they raised like follow-on rounds, and both were done at like north of 150x on like very little revenue, right?
Mm-hmm. Like 8-figure revenue.
7-figure revenue.
And 150x on that number.
Yeah, getting like $300, $400, $500 million valuations on like on very little ARR.
I told this on a pod a while ago. I don't know if people remember. I got pitched a company $50,000 in revenue monthly, $300 million valuation.
Yeah,
so $600,000 annual revenue.
God bless these kids for being able to get it. I've never been
the balls
able,
just to say it.
Totally. But
and so do you, like, as you're kind of thinking about your next steps for mParticle, like, what is the next step for you guys?
It's more of the same. To be honest, I mean we're in execution mode. I think the thing that we've seen definitely over the course of the past couple of years is like the only thing stopping us is us, right? Like we have the team, the market is here. There's a real market need, and within this like customer data platform, customer data infrastructure space, I think that there's like strong recognition that this is like mission critical infrastructure to help brands navigate these challenges. So it's just on us to run the company as strong as possible, and if we can do that. Well, let me step back. I think like in order to do that, I think two things are true about us, about really any company. You got to make your customers happy, and you got to make your employees happy.
Yeah. Right.
You got to drive like real meaningful employee engagement, like authentically. And if you can do those two things, I don't care if you're, selling shoes or alcohol or software or whatever. Like I think it applies to pretty much every business on earth. If you can do those two things, like you're going to have a ton of options.
Yeah.
In the fullness of time.
That's one thing I've heard Frank Slootman, the CEO of Snowflake, say on podcasts, that let your customers dictate where your product should be building, not the internal team. Saying that, hey, we need this feature. Like if your customers aren't asking for the feature, then you probably shouldn't be adding this feature.
Yeah. It's about like doing it right.
Yeah.
Like you can't just chase you can't do everything every single customer asks, because you wouldn't be able to do really any of it.
Yeah.
It's about like how do you systematically ingest that information and then prioritize based on like total impact, what you should do versus what you shouldn't do. And the companies that do that well, that can prioritize and focus, are ultimately the ones that are successful. Because I think like the other thing that you hear when you hear Frank Slootman talk, it's all about like maniacal and relentless focus, right? And so there's like we all have limited resources. We all want to be doing everything, but we can't do everything. And if you try to do everything, you end up doing nothing.
And one of the questions I have for you, and I talk to Dee about this all the time. You guys are both founders and CEOs of multiple companies, and now you've been doing this for 2+ decades, especially in tech. How do you balance like seeing that 24-year-old delusional kid that you see is raising like $2 billion, and then you're like, and you just, I know Dee and I talk about this all the time, and we've been like, how the fuck is this happening?
Yeah.
When we know this shit isn't like real, and they're raising all this capital, and they seem like they're on this rocket ship, but then you obviously know, but being in this for so long, like you know how to build a great business. And how do you balance that mentally when you see the shiny object always keep changing and you're like, dude, I have a great business. And I'm saying you're getting rewarded, but I'm sure it's got to fuck with you mentally, right?
I mean, it does if you let it. And it's easy to let it mess with you because you could easily start comparing yourself to others, and it becomes like the haves and the have-nots. And that's like, I don't know, to me that's like a little bit of a slippery slope. Yeah. Like for me,
I guess when you see inferior businesses getting funded, that might be in your space or, circling your space. Yeah. And I'm sure you've seen it. Totally. But like, I know it's been frustrating for us to see. Just in the
value's in the execution.
Yeah.
Right. That's where the value really gets created. It's not just like in the fundraise. That kid who just raised a bunch of capital, like good for him. Like great for the team. But that's not the hard part. Like the hard part is like what you do with that capital and how you grow and how you navigate a lot of the things that we as CEO entrepreneurs have come to appreciate as just part of the journey. And the ones that can navigate that, if they've raised capital at great valuations and it's not dilutive and they keep growing, good for them. Our only competition is ourselves, right? Like that doesn't mean we're going to win every opportunity. It doesn't mean like we're here for like global domination. But like the old saying is like, companies don't die from homicide, they die from suicide, right? And ultimately what that means, like as kind of like crude as the reference may be, is like it's really just about execution, right? So like whatever for them, it doesn't change what I have to do.
Yeah. No, that's helpful because tech has become so sexy and dominates every headline. So it's in your face all the time. Yeah. Like people that are in your space and
totally.
Like how much capital they're raising, exits, IPOs, SPACs, whatever it might be.
Yeah, it's sexy. But like there's a lot of hard work that goes into that. And I think like part of the issue with some of these companies that have SPAC'd over the course of the past few years is like they weren't ready to be public. Right? Like they weren't far enough along in their own journey, and they were doing it for the wrong reasons. They were doing it.
It was a money grab, right?
Yeah, to pay their investors back, or like they ran out of options, or like they just wanted to be something that they weren't. And I think like now we're seeing it in the form of what's it like 80% of the companies that have SPAC'd over the course of the past couple of years are trading well below. Like that $10 entry point. Yep. Right. Like I was an investor in a company that went public via SPAC, and it's down 70% from where it went out at. Like, and they actually have a great business, but a lot of these companies don't. And you see. Like I don't know if you guys saw the headlines about like these missed projections. Yeah. But they were off by like orders of magnitude. It's just wild.
Yeah. So how does we have a lot of founders of startups and small businesses get in touch with mParticle if they want to figure out how it applies to their business? Who should they reach out to?
Well, first go to the site, check it out, www.mparticle.com. You can check us out on Twitter at mParticle. If they're compelled to reach out, they can hit me up, mkatz@mparticle.com. Or if you just want to talk to somebody in sales or a product expert, just go to our contact us page and fill out a quick form and go from there.
Great.
Amazing. And you're a great follow on Twitter. You put out a lot of really good content, especially I think when you have your Jerry Maguire moments, you'll write impassioned posts on Medium. So they're always great reads. So check them out.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Michael Katz is a tech founder, but he doesn't have any of the negative baggage that comes with a tech founder moniker.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate that. That's a nice compliment.
Amazing. Well, thanks for joining us. And now let's get back into the news.
Hey guys, happy kind of sort of Friday in group chat world.
Woo!
Woohoo!
So it's Thursday, but we record during the day. This usually is a good marker for, kind of getting to the end of the week. We hit everyone with a Thursday night epi that they probably mostly listen to on Friday. So congrats on making it through another week. It's not easy. Gas prices are through the roof. War's raging. The stock market is just topsy-turvy.
And we hope this episode gets released. So we're just not talking to
This
ourselves.
episode makes it on Apple. What's going on?
Apple's holding us back. They're censoring us.
Tim Cook.
Damn, we're the Joe Rogan of Apple, aren't we?
Yeah.
Tim Apple's getting us.
Damn. So that's what happened. So our last episode we noticed didn't go up on Apple, but apparently it's an Apple problem. I don't know. Things aren't really checking out. I think this is cancel culture at work.
Yep. We need to rally behind and crush Apple.
Yeah, we need our audience. The same way you guys did for Joe Rogan, give us a little bit of that. We're
Yeah.
expecting the White House to make a statement any moment. And hopefully we can fight censorship, big tech.
Big tech is after us.
It's after us. Let's talk about some kind of big tech world. Amazon. Why do I see this article that Amazon's closing a bunch of shit? That's not exactly how I expected any Amazon news to go for the next 2 decades.
Well, they're shutting all their pop-ups, Amazon Books, and 4-star stores, which they have 68 stores across the U.S. and the U.K. And, I mean, I would assume during the pandemic, these stores obviously did horrible. And as someone that has been in all of their stores, because I'm just curious about it, there's absolutely no reason to go to these stores. The bookstore, I mean, the idea of just the bookstore itself, given Amazon's history, doesn't make sense to me at all.
Books are out.
Yeah, I mean, books are out, and then on top of that, they already sell more books than anyone else. I don't think having a store is helping them in the book business.
Plus, I mean, what they did is they killed bookstores.
Exactly. That's why it's just
they made it so much easier that you would never want to go to a bookstore again, and then
exactly. And then on top of that, the 4-star store, clever in the sense that
What exactly is a 4-star store?
Basically, items that they've curated that have 4 stars or higher.
Okay.
So you'll see them around. I think Century City had a pop-up of one.
I've seen something on La Cienega on the way to the airport. There's an Amazon store. I don't know what
That's the grocery
division
store.
is. That's a grocery store.
Yeah.
4-star store. They have, I think, a lot in New York, right? Or at least one main one in Chelsea.
Yeah.
Or not
Yeah.
Chelsea.
I remember walking one inside New York, and it's just cool. Here's the Razor scooter that got 5 stars.
It's a little random.
Yeah.
No, but here's what I like about it, and it's they basically are just trialing and erroring brick and mortar stores. There's clearly a demand for brick and mortar, and they pull the plug when it doesn't work. Yeah. And that's the difference between old school businesses and new age businesses. They're okay with taking the L on the bookstores, the 4-star, and the pop up because maybe the groceries are working.
Yeah.
Maybe something else is working. Maybe we need a change. And the difference why Macy's and all these companies just feel like the Stone Age is because they won't take the L.
Yeah.
Yep. That's very true. So obviously they know. I mean, that's the thing that you can count on is it's not arbitrary. They obviously see data that's these things are stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think Amazon realizes their brick and mortar opportunity, in my opinion, is obviously grocery because
they have Whole Foods and then they have the essentials, right?
Well, I mean, they have their regular grocery store now, a regular a Ralph's.
Oh, it's that full comprehensive.
Oh, it's everything.
Products?
Oh yeah.
Where's
It's
that
everything.
at? Seattle?
There's one in Woodland Hills.
Really?
So you can get milk.
milk, Doritos, whatever. The reason why they did it is because Whole Foods, you can't sell Doritos and a Coca-Cola.
They need something for the masses.
Yeah, give us what we want.
Yeah, like if you're having friends over, the last place I go to is Whole Foods for snacks.
No, I want whole Doritos.
Yeah, it's just
There's
embarrassing.
no snacks at Whole Foods.
There are. It's just.
I mean, no one that you'd want to watch. Like, if you have friends over for
fucking-
like a game or something,
Yeah.
you're not going to Whole Foods.
Like, I'll get snacks for Dominic from Whole Foods and myself from Ralph's.
Oh my god! I don't know if that's good parenting or you're an asshole. I can't tell. Okay, so we don't think obviously no sign of trouble here. Just probably didn't work out in the data. COVID was probably tough. Shut her down. Stick to the Doritos.
Yeah, I think, and I know they're going after like their department store concept that they're going to test. So I think they're gonna. I think they'll have more success in other categories of brick and mortar. I think the idea of the bookstore. I mean, if I was them and I had some like nostalgia over that, what I'd rather do is in like call it the 8 biggest cities in America, build like a super bookstore with a coffee shop and like almost like an Apple Store type of experience where it's like it's about learning, it's about educating, have classes for kids, and it's like truly like it's just like a place you hang out if you like to read. Like it's for all the dorks that like to read. Like you guys can all hang out there and have a coffee and like just
I'll be honest,
talk
I'm a dork
about
that likes to read, and that sounds like a fucking nightmare. You know what I mean? The last thing you want to do is be around a lot of other dorks.
that like to read.
What are you reading? What is that?
Oh, what is that?
Viktor
Sci-fi?
Frankl? Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
Okay, fuck
agree.
it. Fuck their bookstores.
Yeah, I think you just got to move on from bookstores. Look, it's dead. It's like being nostalgic about Blockbuster. We all miss it. It was a cool experience. It's over.
Why is the Barnes and Noble at the Grove still surviving?
Because
so many stores have gone out of business, though.
It's the Grove.
I think traffic is just so high. I don't know either because it's so massive.
Isn't it like 3 stories?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they sell records. They also sell a lot of.
I mean,
It's
outside
busy, though.
of Nike, it's the biggest store, I think.
It's busy though. Like I don't know how much business
busy.
it does. It's just people there all the time. You know, people
That's just the
upstairs
Grove power.
grabbing a book, having a latte. That
It
crowd.
kind of is like what Dee's talking about. There is a little coffee shop upstairs.
Yeah.
It's as close as we've got to fucking Nerdville that Dee was describing.
It's like the Soho House of the Grove. You know, you can pull up your laptop, go
There's so
sit up
much
there.
traffic at the Grove. You could literally sell fucking
Anything.
3 stories of dog treats, and it would probably work.
I just went to the Apple store at the Grove. I think it's the nicest store in the
Man,
world.
I was telling you in
It's
December.
absurd.
I didn't go.
Yeah.
I just
there's
went.
freaking olive trees in there. They have like an olive.
It's literally not a store. It's like a different thing.
Yeah, and it's so big that it's never busy. Like in terms of you want to buy something, there's 600 associates.
Oh, they
there.
got me for $3.89 within like 3 minutes. I was sitting out.
Easy
Yeah,
work.
that probably thing does
They're
like
like,
a
"Look at
million
the
a
trees."
day, million a day. It's just like boom, boom, boom.
I mean, do you know how obnoxious you have to be to buy like a 3-story space and just make the ceiling 3 stories tall?
Yeah,
And
like not even add
use the
another
square footage.
I mean, I don't even think I got more than 10 feet into the store to buy what I needed to buy and leave.
And they got you.
And
You mean they
I
just
just
like,
walked.
helped you? They went and
They
grabbed
helped me. They went and grabbed it and said, "I knew what I wanted. I just asked them what the difference is between the. It was an Apple Watch. It's a gift, and I was just like, what are the differences between the different models?" And they explained to me in 30 seconds, and I said, "Okay, I want this one."
It's a science. That thing.
And
it's
then
like a
Apple
crack
Care.
whip.
I was like, I'm buying a gift. Do I need Apple Care? And they hustled me for Apple Care too.
Yeah. Yeah, they got that down. They got that script.
Apple Care is the biggest hustle. And so then I when my phone smashed for the Super Bowl, they're like, "Do you have Apple Care?" I'm like, maybe. I'm like, "When'd you buy this phone?" I don't know, 2-3 years ago. He goes, "Oh, it doesn't matter then."
Yeah, because it's after 2 years.
Yeah.
I looked at the
Apple is such a freaking
Tim Apple's screwing our
yeah.
podcast.
He's a Ponzi over there. It's a Ponzi. I pay
I'll
for
be
things,
honest,
I don't get anything.
I'm gonna get quiet here because that's not whose bad side I want to be on. You know what? Take your time with our podcast. It's just gnarly. It's so insane that you can have a store that massive, knock out all the things. You don't even really need all that square footage because everyone's helping you the moment you step foot in the store anyway. It's just such a like swag off
Yeah.
to be like, look what we can do. That thing's like a showroom more than it is a store.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Where's the Genius Bar in there? I'm sure it's somewhere.
Everywhere.
I mean, I literally didn't
Everyone's
even
a
get past
genius
this.
in there.
Yeah, they're like, hey, is your phone broken? I can tell. I can sense you're having a problem with your audio.
Are you a genius?
And I mean, we obviously know the company's on fire. And I was asking them about the different straps on the Apple Watch. They're like, we barely have any inventory. Like, you probably have to go online because everything's just sold out.
It's wild to be that big and have that type of like problem at like one of your flagships. It's literally crack. They can't lose.
No, it's impressive.
Okay, what about stock market? So Friday I was like, yay, I think I texted the group. Recession's over. Anand was right. Everything moves at light speed. We had like a 2-week-long recession. Market's cranking. Everything in the green.
it's all
And
back.
then the recession's back again. So
Well, it's alternating days. One day it's a recession. One day it's boom time. Then it's recession, boom time. You just got to pick which day.
I can get down with that. You just got to get in on the rhythm. Buy, sell, buy, sell, sell, buy. Yeah. So I mean, we're just like is there just so much uncertainty with obviously this war situation? We're just kind of ripping back and forth.
That's all that matters right now. There's nothing else. No one's paying attention to anything else. It's literally Russia and Ukraine. And then on top of that, specifically in like growth tech type companies, a lot of them are reporting earnings. People are not excited about the growth rates. So that just compounds. And so a lot of these high flying stocks like a Snowflake.
They hit an avalanche.
Yeah.
They hit an avalanche.
Yeah.
I mean, they were trading at all-time lows after hours yesterday. It bounced back today. But, dude, we've been talking about this for years. Once the growth rates start to slow, the multiples compress at such a drastic levels. Like, these companies were trading at 100, 150 times revenue because they were assuming 150, 200% growth year over year. And sure, they're still growing, but when you go from 150% year over year to like 50% year over year, your multiples compress by like no longer 150x, it's like 50x, and your stock collapses.
The snow is melting. It's water flake.
Climate change.
Water flake.
Snowflake can blame climate change.
Got it. That makes sense. That checks out.
And
Yeah,
Go ahead.
keep going.
Sorry.
No, keep going. I was just gonna kind of say like some people are getting completely slaughtered.
yeah, and I think we were hoping that like it was just like a small correction and that everything will be back ripping again. I mean, look, if something positive happens in the Russia-Ukraine situation where all of a sudden like my prediction is, the war has to end tomorrow. That was my prediction.
So time.
Yeah, I got 24 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like China's like not there for any support. So maybe they'll be like, all right, shit. Like Ukraine's tougher than we thought. This fucking president is like grabbing AK-47s. I don't know where Xi Jinping is. Let's back out.
Yeah, it was interesting. Watching people. Because there's the only direct correlation the Russia-Ukraine thing has to the American consumer is oil prices, gas prices. So in LA, I was listening to it on the radio today, the average tank of a gallon of gas is $5 in LA. And so that means depending on what neighborhood you're in, it's fluctuating substantially higher. Because like the rip-off gas stations in LA, which everyone knows which locations those are, they're like $6.
Right.
I mean, I got taken for $5.40 for a full tank the other day.
But you're putting like Supreme unleaded, like
I go premium, yeah, but
Yeah.
I mean, your boy had a $120 gas bill.
oh my god,
Oh, I stop at $75, no matter what it is.
your budget is $75.
Yes, I won't go beyond
that's like
$75.
Principal.
Yeah.
Huh?
I'll wait for the conflict to go down next week.
What's crazy is I'm basically on empty right now in my car. I mean, I drive 1 mile, 2 miles a day usually, but I had to go to downtown a bunch this week. And I was driving just now, and I was like, "Damn, 575! Like, can I just maybe if I'm right on my prediction, I could save $1 on gas in like 2 days."
Wait till tomorrow. Just coast home. Just fucking coast downhill home and wait till tomorrow.
I'll just walk home. I'll walk home and hope the war ends tomorrow, and then I'll gas up.
Yeah, that's your bet. You got to live it. You got to.
Yeah, I got. So you weren't on last episode, but I was telling the listeners that I did a little gambling in the stock market this week, and my bet was on I was all in on Kanye and Gap, and I said, you know what?
Oh yeah, what happened?
So Gap released their earnings just now, and I bought. This is not financial advice. I bought call options on Gap.
Which means you believe it's going to go up.
Believe it's going to go up. But I bought it a year out, so I had time on it.
What was the expiration? Wait, you bought it a year ago, or you bought it now to expire? When did it
expire? In a year.
It'll expire in a year. So more than enough time, just in case whatever I believe is completely off and the stock got crushed to today. In after hours, the stock is up 16%.
Wow.
My guy, yay.
What was the share price when you bought the options?
Like high 13s.
High 13s.
Yeah.
And what was your strike price?
$20.
Oh, so you must be like massively in the money.
I was already up 20% today.
Before it went up.
So, I mean, I assume...
You must be up 70, 80%.
I'm hoping I'm up double.
You want a double?
I want a double.
Double. Go in and out after.
Go in and out after. So
with a double grilled cheese.
And what's funny is just, they beat on revenue and they beat on a less of a loss than expected. But they did say that their first quarter was going to be tough. And despite that, the stock still went up. So I'm not going to be the person that judges them, but apparently that was good enough for the stock to go up.
I want to share like what I've learned in the last, what is it now? Almost 1 year that I've watched the stock market so intensely. As soon as the stock market opens till it closes, I watch everything because I'm now exposed to some public positions that dictate my life.
Yeah.
and
I didn't think about that.
What I've realized is I know way less than I thought I knew before because nothing makes sense.
Like meaning
So, either
your
way.
ability to predict.
Correct. Like
Yeah.
when companies report earnings, sometimes I'm like, wow, great beat, blah, blah, blah. And the stock's down 25%.
Yeah.
Then you see a company miss on earnings and say something about guidance, and the stock's up a little.
Like I'm reading the breakdown for Gap. It's not that good.
Exactly.
The stock should not be up.
That's
And
my
like what
point.
happened to like wasn't Revolve's numbers like absurd and like they didn't really get a pop, right? Or did
No, yeah, their numbers were absurd. Like actually profitable, growing like 80%, just like insane numbers.
I've come to the conclusion the stock market's the dumbest thing in the world.
So
It's like nothing actually is logical. Yeah. How institutional funds dictate, because it's the institutional funds that are dictating these swings.
Yeah.
Like who's pressing the button?
So I'll
up, sell 10 billion, up, buy 5 billion.
You know what? Gap had supply chain. You know what? Stock's up. We love it. Yeah. So Gap said Old Navy was hurt in part due to supply chain complications with same-store sales flat compared to 2019. The Gap brand is up 3% on a 2-year basis. Double-digit growth in North America. That's all got to be all yay.
Yep. Gotta be.
I mean, who else is buying Gap?
So do you think there's some 33-year-old hedge fund guy, just a huge Kanye fan, press the button, buy some Gap in the after hours?
Yes. I used to think it was.
That's what I think is going on because nothing makes sense.
I don't think it's. Yeah, like I think hedge funds love Kanye.
I think so too.
That's literally why I bought it. I was like, all these dudes sat and watched the doc. Every 35-year-old male is on social media talking about how inspired they are about Kanye's documentary. I was like, this stock is going to go up.
I will say there's like a disproportionate number of rich people that are obsessed with Kanye.
Yeah. You want to hear a funny story?
Like fuck you attitude that they all wish they could show.
Yeah.
He's the other version of Portnoy because I feel like Wall Street guys love Portnoy because he could be the dickhead.
Yeah.
And
But Kanye's like level of success and fame is like multiples of Dave Portnoy.
Of course, but I'm saying they love both of them.
Yeah.
An average Wall Street guy is Portnoy, Kanye. They talk about how Kanye is the genius, and they probably don't know much about music. And
Yes.
Jean-Yuhs.
Yes.
You want to hear a funny story? So I think I was telling you last episode, I got my mom tickets for the Donda Academy basketball game at CSUN. And it happened yesterday.
Did she go?
So our mom went with her friends, and I text her. I'm like, "How's it going?" She's like, "We're still waiting in line." And so I was genius. So I go. I was like, "You should go home, or go to dinner." They had plans to go to dinner. So go to dinner, come back. Like I'm sure it's disorganized. She's like, "Oh, we'll wait." They wait like an hour and 10 minutes.
Hour and 10 minutes to get into CSUN basketball stadium.
Yeah, so they get into the stadium, and on the ticket, I had told my mom. She goes, "I said on the ticket it says to wear black." I don't know what that means. Like, I don't know if you have to get in. I doubt they wore it, but like she said, every single person was wearing black. It was all young kids hoping to see Ye, and she's like, the team is unbelievable. They're like alley-ooping, slam dunking, and they're like sophomores.
Was it like they played, I saw Veritas Press.
Yeah.
Prep.
Yeah. And they obviously destroyed them. And she's like, they're slow to warm, but like obviously the energy in the stadium was very exciting because I think they were hoping Kanye would be there. He didn't show up. But she's like, while she was waiting in line, she's like, this is the only thing interesting that's happening. And it's like this young, tall, white kid, with a sign that said "fuck Pete Davidson."
Really?
Yes. Like the fandom is so real. Like when Kim wrote, like she wrote a text message that he posted like on Instagram about this is a security problem. This is safety reasons. This guy says something. His fans are nuts. I bet you if Pete Davidson walked down the street,
he'd get his ass beat.
He would get harassed.
For sure.
Especially like on Fairfax and Melrose or something.
He could not walk Melrose.
No, hell no. Somebody posted something like, I think it's to the point where like, if you're in the right demo and you post like Kanye slander, they come for you. Like somebody did that recently, and their whole comments were like, find God, fuck Pete Davidson, blah, blah, blah. Like, wow. I think Pete Davidson gets beat up walking almost anywhere through like LA, like, you know, in Kanye.
In Kanye land.
What about, can he get on the subway and go to his SNL studios in New York?
He's not taking the subway.
No, can he?
I think in New York.
I don't think it's safe.
I think in New York it's fine.
That's like the whole thing that you see random celebs on the subway. It's like a gimmick.
It's all fake. It's all fake.
Can you imagine if you're a kid that's like at all kind of scrappy or maybe just confident in yourself, the idea of the clip you could get if you knocked out Pete Davidson and you posted it on TikTok.
Oh my God!
And Kanye keeps like posting shit and like, you know, so like you like maybe Kanye will repost me, maybe, but like I think the incentive is too big to make Lord Ye proud, where you would try to do it just to have the clip.
What's funny is that's literally what my mom said. She goes, "It's like a religion to these people." She's like, "It feels like it was a cult."
I got to call her after the episode. Get the full recap.
Yeah.
Did her friends wear black on black?
I don't know if their friends wear black.
Did she wear black?
I don't know. I didn't ask. I just said I think you got to wear black. That's what Kanye is saying.
That's what the pastor says.
Yeah. You know, the other thing that was super interesting is I don't know if you guys saw this. There's a guy that comments on every single one of Kanye's Instagrams, and his name is Thomas Iannucci. Okay. And he's like a musician, but he's like the first person that comments all the time. This guy got an article in Vulture about the guy that comments on Kanye's Instagram. He's just a guy that comments.
And Vulture wrote an
article. And he said
on.
that he gets so much engagement on his own social media because he's the first person that comments on every single thing. Like he has comments that have like tens of thousands of likes.
And he's just a super fan.
Yeah, he's just and
You have to imagine Pete Davidson regrets getting into this. Like, he probably thought it was going to be a fun fling, raise his profile, and now he's public enemy number one.
I don't think he does.
You don't?
I think that he hates it. I think that he definitely hates it. But I think that you only repeatedly date that type of girl if you also kind of like the attention. Like, I'm sure he wishes he could have all the positive without the negative. But I bet if you could honestly ask him, you can go back to the day you met Kim Kardashian. Are you sure you want to hit on her? I bet he would do it again.
Interesting.
yeah, I mean, look who other women he's dated. He's dating the most high-profile, famous women on
he
earth.
loves it.
But they
He just
didn't
went a
have
little too deep.
they didn't have an ex named Kanye West who has the whole world
I don't
behind
think.
him.
I think he didn't. I think he underestimated the
Yes.
power of Ye. Jean-Yuhs.
Jean-Yuhs. Yeah. But I do think he's like scared, and I think he probably hates it. But I don't think he would like undate Kim Kardashian. I think he climbed to the top of the mountain on whatever journey he was on.
Yeah, like
the Baby Keem concert made me realize I will never slander Mr. West.
yeah.
Imagine
Those
Pete
kids
Davidson
will
walks
kill
out on
you.
stage at a Baby Keem concert
They will kill him.
and crowd surfs. What happens? He dies?
Yes, he 100% gets stomped out.
Pete Davidson just needs to just make amends with him so he can go on with his life.
I don't think he can. I think he'd have to bow down. Kanye wants his family back.
I don't know if Pete Davidson's the reason why the family's not there.
Well, he's taking all the brunt of it.
Yeah.
Okay, what do we want to do? We want to go to key topics. What do you want to do here?
Yeah, I'll do Fanatics as my winner then. Let's do the TikTok thing, and then let's do skip the NFL, COVID, and then just
Billionaire?
Roman Abramovich. Let's
do
that.
Roman Abramovich, and then do winners losers.
Okay, so TikTok, Roman, and then winners, losers.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, next up, what else is bad for the mental health is TikTok. So, we've been talking about this for a long time. TikTok, not only TikTok being a security risk, I can't believe TikTok's still even up in the United States. So not only is it a security risk because it's owned by essentially the Chinese government, but, I think kind of like all the negativity and stuff that we talk about with Facebook and Instagram for young people, I think TikTok is probably that or even more. I would say it's definitely more addictive. I don't know exactly what it does for like, body image and those sort of things, but I can't imagine it's great, judging by my popular page. But it looks like now we're starting to kind of look into it. Like states individually are looking into it, or I don't know. That's the new topic, is the health effects of TikTok.
Yeah, I mean, I think that health is like an interesting angle. The right angle should be data, privacy, and information.
Yep.
But if health gets the Pandora's box opened, then sure. Like it's unclear to me all the hearings they did about Instagram and Facebook were any changes instituted. Zero. What is it bad for your mental health? Yes. Have you done anything? No. Thank you for coming. See you later.
Yeah, how are politicians not bringing up the data part, but they're bringing up the mental health part? Do they?
Because mental health gets you more. It's a better angle.
If you were to pull the 100 senators, what % know TikTok's owned by a Chinese company?
100 senators, what percent?
I'd say half.
30.
30? Yeah, I would say 30%.
They'd be like, but they have offices here. What is it? Doesn't the Disney guy work there? I think, what I think? I don't think it's as much about the senators as it is about the old constituents. I think that your average daily person doesn't understand the message of Chinese spyware. They understand, oh, my kid could have mental health problems.
But isn't that why we have elected officials? It's not for the average constituent to worry about it. It's for the elected officials to protect us.
Yeah, but we know those motherfuckers don't do anything until they think that it will win them the vote. So if they're going to go out and stand on the soapbox of Chinese data surveillance, they're like, my people don't give a fuck about this. They're going to tune out. I'm going to try to follow in Trump's footsteps and do some more exciting shit. And maybe like your kid's mental health feels a little bit more like an engaging message.
I will say the mental health of the biggest creators on TikTok is at an all-time low since I've been following.
Why?
It seems like everyone's fighting. There's this Taylor Holder drama that's like gone viral on the TikTok world. Everyone
Did it ever unfold? Like, what did he do? What was he guilty of?
There's nothing that publicly has come out, but all the other stars, like the Bryce Halls and Josh Richards, they all unfollowed him.
Wow.
Even that other girl, there's one other famous girl, I forget.
I texted
so they all,
him. He dead lettered me. I showed you.
Yeah. So they
Hey,
all
man,
unfollowed
saw your
him,
post.
and they said there's rumors of like some sort of sexual misconduct with girls, and they're
Maybe
all
I'll send that
fighting.
text.
They're all fighting, and I see the clips. I see the clips from the BFF pods with Portnoy, Richards, and there's one other girl on it. All the clips are just them talking shit about other TikTok stars.
Yeah, I think it's miserable. I think the heyday was great. It was a fast rise, and there was the hype house and the yay, oh my God, life is amazing. And literally, they're all depressed and fighting.
These guys are not even 20, 21 years old, and their lives are unraveling in front of the world.
Yeah.
It's like you said, everything's faster. This is like your
Yeah,
average
exactly.
like
Everything's
star,
faster.
like child star who would have had a movie career, and then 10 years later, you know, they're in rehab and doesn't go so well. It happens in 2 years now.
Yeah.
But at least the 80 stars had that 10-year run where they were just king of the
Yeah,
the
no, you
hill.
got 2 summers.
I mean,
Enjoy it.
2 summers make probably the equivalent of the 10-year stars amount of money,
Right.
and you're
Make
done.
the best
And
of it.
everyone you met, you hate.
Yep.
And I'm curious, when do they start disappearing? The current top TikTok stars. I don't think this.
More years.
I don't think this current batch lasts. I see what's going on.
No, they'll last. It's a slow death.
They're going to get weeded out. There's going to be a couple that last. Like Addison Rae's a star forever.
She's fine.
A handful under them will like, you know, transition to YouTube and oh my gosh, my makeup line and okay, great. And then I think that the rest will just, you'll just be like, oh yeah, remember fucking so-and-so?
Yeah, I just don't think it's like a Kardashian level where they're just ingrained. Like the Kardashians are here forever.
Well, that was because everyone watched the same, same show at that era. Like, it's too fragmented now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
so
I don't think any of them are safe from that yet, to be honest. I could see a world where Addison Rae became irrelevant or Charlie D'Amelio. I think that they're pretty close, but yeah, most of them are just, you're never going to talk about them again. And there's going to be a new app and there's going to be the new stars of that thing.
yeah.
Or like YouTube, like the stars are going to be so big. Like I think there will be some like mega money making lifetime, who's the David Dobrik of TikTok? It'll happen, but a lot of them are going to get wiped out.
Well, I also think now that TikTok is just completely embedded mainstream, there's going to be like way bigger, diverse type of creators too. There will be like, you're just going to see this proliferation of like all these new types of creators. Like we were joking, like someone's going to put out a movie on TikTok. Someone's going to put out a TV show on TikTok. There'll be people that, they have careers on TikTok now.
We talked about this on the last episode, Drama, that they expanded to 10 minutes or they're going to or they're testing it. Yeah. And I feel like that is a sign that the 10-second dances are weaning on engagement. So they're trying to figure out, in addition to like competing with YouTube, which is obviously what their bigger goal is, but I feel like they've seen just having a bunch of white kids dance for 10 seconds might not be the most interesting content.
Imagine if they dance for 10 minutes now. They're like exhausted at the end of it. They're just like, I'm a savage.
Classy.
Do you want to talk about mental health? It'll be physical health.
Literally.
Oh man, Taylor Holder is gone because for 3 weeks because his back got thrown out.
Because he danced for 527 minutes yesterday. Yeah. I think that I don't know, so it could be that, but I also think that keeping people engaged in long videos on your app is like the holy grail. Like if at the end of the day, all that you're really measuring is time spent on the app, if you can lock people into like a 10-minute video, it's so much more valuable, I think, to them.
But I'm standing on that hill that I think the dances aren't as interesting to the public.
That's fine. I don't think you're...
I think they were really interesting 18 months ago. And I think they just got old because it's the same
I
dance.
think that there's a lot of like, hey, let me tell you a story. And then they tell you a story and they're like, follow me on YouTube. I'll give you the full episode. Like TikTok is really good for like teasers of like a more full experience. And if you could get them to just stay there and watch that whole thing, you don't lose them to YouTube, you know?
Yeah.
But I agree. I mean, I don't think you're wrong by any means. I think, to be honest, whether they're feeling the pressure of it or not, I think the quick dance thing is kind of ending anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it just seems like my feed isn't all like dancing anymore. It's a lot of like, I don't know, like little skits or like comedy things or story time, or it's gotten like pretty broad.
I feel like comedians won the biggest in TikTok because of they're able to show like kind of 20, 30-second clips where they're the funniest in like a
There's
bit.
random fucking comedians that have a lot of views.
Yeah.
And they're funny. I watch them. There's like an Indian guy or something on my
Nimesh
feed all the
Patel.
time.
He's probably on your.
Incredible.
He's so funny.
There's another Indian kid I watched.
He probably got on your feed because I probably watched it and we're friends and maybe they just hey, maybe he liked this Indian guy.
I heard he got his H card. Let's get him in.
Yeah, that guy's funny. And someone told me a friend of mine went to his show, and in his show he's like, I was literally nobody before TikTok, and now I'm like touring the country.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts. You're right though. So yeah, I bet there's a lot of comedians that went from complete obscurity, like performing for 7 people, and now like, you know, pack the Laugh Factory or places like that. There has to be a handful.
Yeah, it's great. Good for them.
Yeah. Okay. Next up, Russia. So one quick other thing on Russia is, you know, we haven't physically intervened in the war, but we went hard on sanctions and stuff like that. And like you guys kind of were filling everyone in on earlier episodes, we went hard on like the sanctions and like just going in on these Russian billionaires in the hopes that that would like persuade Vladimir to make a different decision. So I think now we're seeing some of the effects of that. I mean, Roman Abramovich, who's a Russian oligarch and also the owner of the Chelsea Football Club, had to sell his spot on the Chelsea Football Club because of these issues.
Yeah, so Roman actually, this is an interesting case. So he has ties to Putin. He actually has Israeli citizenship as well. So maybe he's just a little safer. But he is selling the Chelsea Football Club, and the rumors are it's going to be at least $3 billion in proceeds. And he says he's going to donate all of it to Ukrainian victims. So that's a pretty big kind of FU to Putin.
And
he's going against the homie.
Lent the company billions of dollars on top of it, and he's foregoing all the loans on it too.
This is a PR move where he's trying to be like, don't take me down. Let me be in San Tropez this summer.
Yeah. He has a nice yacht. His yacht is hot.
Passport.
Yeah.
He's got a good yacht. He's got a solid yacht. If that thing's on a dock, I mean, they're talking about like, you know, repo and yachts and shit. Like they're putting.
They have been. They're repoing. If you're a yacht, so what I've been reading, if you can get your yacht to the Maldives, there's no ability for them to repossess the Maldives because of extradition treaties. But if you can't get to the Maldives, they're taking your yacht.
Can you imagine like what's probably happening on the ground in these areas? Like just like captains like rushing, like we got to get Roman's yacht out of here. Let's go.
It's absolutely nuts. There's Twitter accounts following a lot of these yachts posting like this one's on the way to Maldives. This one's tracking the Indian Ocean, and they're tracking all the Russian oligarchs' private jets and where they're landing. I think Roman was in Istanbul, the latest I saw.
Wow. You know when you're like in a store and you look outside and you see the parking meter person show up and you're like, no, let me go move it. Like that's what they're doing with their yachts.
Yeah.
And then I heard from a friend who's in Europe right now. He knows a yacht broker, and he said getting all cancellations from Russians for the summer.
Oh, I mean, obviously.
Yeah, they have no
Roman
money.
Have like $20 billion? I mean, how do you just... So it's not that he's broke and he needs the money. He's just foregoing.
Well, no, I think his assets have to... He got kicked out of the United Kingdom. United Kingdom kicked him out, so he can't be in London. And they're seizing assets of all of these individuals. And I think this is his olive branch, like, yo, chill out.
Chelsea, because here's the thing is, Chelsea's such a prized...
Of course.
Sports franchise.
Especially in the UK.
Especially in the UK. He probably looks like a hero there.
And in his official statement, he said, I hope they allow me to come back and say goodbye to everyone. Because he's not allowed right now.
Yeah. He wants to catch one more game before he gets kicked out.
Yeah, for sure.
Me and Drama were at his Aspen house. And I talked about that in last
I don't know
episode.
if we can say it or not. But
I don't care. Whatever. We have Instagram posts from there.
All right.
By the way, you ain't never seen him again.
I mean, what's up with what happens to that house?
Repoed.
We're taking it.
Oh my
America.
gosh,
America
beautiful
gets it.
America's going to auction it. And the interesting thing is, like, if you make all the Russian billionaires broke because they're banned from the Western financial system, if Roman's turning on Putin, you got to imagine privately, there's got to be discussions where, like, this guy's gone too far.
Yeah.
Because old people care about his money. We know that.
Yeah.
And if all these billionaires just want to live like these like crazy lives of luxury, and now they can't, what are they going to do?
Yeah.
Because also, what are you doing? It's all for nothing. It's all like an ego trip. Like, it seems like, from, you tell me if you guys saw it different, but it seems like the younger, like, Russian crowd is, protesting and super against it.
Yep.
Like, the messages from Ukrainians are getting out, like, this is just stupid and unfair. And then, you attack the money. I feel like, who's even for it? Like, a bunch of old, bitter, like, Russians that are like, yeah, old school, let's take over. Like, who's supporting this? This guy can't even sit at a table with anyone. He's the scariest, craziest dictator in the world. You see his fucking tables?
Yeah.
Because he's scared of COVID. He sits at 100-foot-long tables.
I think he's scared of getting knifed.
Yeah, that's valid. That's super valid. The rumor is he's scared of COVID, but that actually makes a lot of sense. It's just stupid. It seems really...
Sorry, I just want to... Ben Mesrich, who wrote the book that Social Network's based on, has been doing incredible Twitter threads. I encourage everyone to go read him because he wrote a book about Russian oligarchs, and he talks about how he even got involved. And like a Hollywood director called him and said, "You have to do this." He's like, "I do nothing dangerous." And somehow he convinced him, and he was like flying to London every week, meeting with these Russian oligarchs. And then some bodyguard just stuffed something in his back pocket. He thought it was like poison or nerve gas. He flies back to New York or Boston, wherever he was living, and he loads it up, and it's like all the data on like all the murders and like shit that goes on in the Kremlin with oligarchs, and like it's crazy. He basically, the larger point was, he's like, you can't look at Russia in the 1990s like the America was in the 1990s. It's basically like America in the 1890s. If you have a counterpart that you don't agree with, you kill him. And that was the way the business was done. You should read the Twitter thread. I'm sure you'll read the book because I won't. But
yeah, I'll give
the
it a
Twitter
book review.
the Twitter thread was good enough for
Barnes
you.
and Noble, grab a chai latte,
And sit there for 6 hours.
sit on a beanbag, and talk to Rebecca. I will read that. It's just absurd, and it feels to me outdated, and it feels to me like the whole world is, maybe other than China, is saying like, "Hey, dude, like, this is lame." Like, I don't know who's supporting this.
I mean, outside of the generals that are probably loyal to him, they're even saying the morale amongst Russian troops is low.
I saw a clip of a guy, I don't know who he was, like a security advisor or something, saying to Putin, like, "I think we should talk about peace." And Putin was like kind of punking him. You could tell the guy was scared out of his fucking mind, but he was trying to say to him, like, "I do." He's like, "Are you saying we should go for peace?" And he's like, "I do think we should talk about peace." Like the guy's probably just picturing getting murdered on his way out the door. But I think, I don't know, man. It just feels stupid. You got to back out. Tomorrow's Friday. Bail out. Let Dee get some gas.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Yeah.
Right?
Have a good weekend.
Did you see that TikTok clip drama
Get
of
your shirt off. Get on a horse.
of Conor McGregor meeting Putin? And he puts his arm around him, and security like beelines to him, and he just like gets really scared. It's really good because you're not allowed to apparently touch him, and you could see Conor visibly like shook. This is like Conor McGregor.
Yeah, it's no match for whatever the fuck's going on in there. Fuck you! Stabbed in the neck. You want to do winners losers content and wrap us up for the week here?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, Dee, who's your winner for the last week?
My winner is Fanatics. They just announced a massive fundraise, big bag alert, and raised $1.5 billion at a $27 billion valuation. I feel like this value of this company is like 5x'd in 2 years.
Yeah.
And privately. Like
This
I
guy's
remember
just a
not
genius or what?
I think
at the beginning of the pandemic, because I actually vividly remember walking home from the office, it was only like a $4 or $5 billion company.
Yeah. So in 2 years.
Yeah.
And I think a couple things have happened. He's made some very good strategic moves, like on the card side and IP. He is basically cornering sports merchandising.
Yep.
He's cornered it. And so I think people realize that it's such a massive market and he's going to control it. And there's no other game in town. And as we know, like globally, there's nothing bigger than fandom in sports than anything.
Of course.
So and the amount of money that's spent. So $27 billion though, that's a big ass company.
Huge.
I mean, that's like triple Robin Hood.
What do we know, like revenue or anything?
They didn't release anything that I saw.
No.
Like, what do you think that multiple is?
I bet you they do a few billion in revenue minimum.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, think about it. If you want to buy any merchandise, you have to go to Fanatics.
Yeah.
I don't understand, though, because I've tried to read as much and I've heard a lot of his interviews, Michael Rubin's, what he figured out other than buying IP. There has to be some missing piece.
No, it's just he aggregated it. What did Thrasio figure out for Amazon aggregated? They just aggregated it and said, okay, we can be a little bit more efficient.
So no one believed, hey, we should just go get all the licenses for every league.
No, he had vision on why not be one place to do it. It was so fragmented.
Is it a direct-to-consumer? Like he just built the online really well?
I know he talks
he's
about
like the Revolve of sports merch.
He talks about some manufacturing advantage. I've heard him on interviews, but I don't understand what that is.
I think it's just the fact that he's cornered it, and now you can't get it. Dude, it's valuable-ass IP.
Yeah.
But don't you think that just nobody like did a good job at aggregating all of that in the digital age?
Yeah,
he was
definitely.
just the best at it?
Definitely the best, but no one had done it in the brick and mortar age that said, we want to be the one company that owns every license. You know, they just didn't do it. And now, now he has 27 billion. He could go buy New Era, Mitchell and Ness. He already bought Mitchell and Ness. Mm-hmm. He just bought that. Go buy everything and just consolidate it all. No one's going to stop you.
I follow him on Instagram. Lives a great life. Despite
guess whose yacht will not be seized?
Nope.
Not his.
NFL, NBA money will be free to pass right on by.
And now he's best friends with Jay-Z and all these guys.
Yeah, his friend circle's awesome.
Free and Meek Mill. I mean, he freed Meek Mill.
Yeah.
Okay. Anand, who's your winner?
Elon Musk.
Same.
Elon Musk.
I don't know why, but same.
He, his company Starlink is providing internet access in Ukraine because they've destroyed, the cyber warfare and not letting their citizens, Russia not letting Ukrainian citizens get access to internet.
Yeah.
I think someone just tweeted at him.
We talked about it on Sunday.
We did a little fan moment on Sunday, but like it's fucking I mean, that's some real Iron Man shit.
Yeah. And it baffles my mind that the U.S. government doesn't embrace Elon. Yep. Like they embrace GM and Ford, but they box out Tesla. Like this is the guy that could solve so many problems. I know people can pick bones with his personal stuff, but who cares?
Yeah. Yeah, that's
leave
exactly.
your bones at home. I don't even understand what the big bone is. What, he's got a shit ton of money?
I don't think people didn't like that he was with Kanye in the Miami thing last week.
Who cares?
Jean-Yuhs.
Jean-Yuhs. Okay, but I agree. We talked about that on Sunday a little bit, but I
he's like actively tweeting, like helping them. He just tweeted like an hour ago, like, hey, be careful. Everything's getting compromised in Ukraine. Starlink's still working, but just know your messages might be compromised. Like, heads up. Like, dude, he's real time doing more than any U.S. foreign policy expert for Ukraine.
He's Tony Stark. Okay. Yeah, I agree. Couldn't agree more. My winner, I'm going to break my usual mold here. I'm going to give my winner to Kanye and, really probably more so Cootie.
Okay.
I finished the Jean-Yuhs documentary last night and just really well done. And, Kanye is definitely a creature of his own. And to have the amount of footage they have of the process and the journey and it's just really gnarly. So congrats to those guys. Kanye for living that life, I guess, and Cootie for documenting the whole damn thing because it was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really cool.
I will say, Cootie's the only thing that has got me on Clubhouse in 2.5 years. I got a
listen to
notification
Cootie
that
talk?
Cootie was on right before we recorded, and I swiped and was like, I want to hear what he has to say.
I think Cootie's like blowing out. I saw an interview of him the other day. He looks real rich.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean,
He has a soothing voice. You go to sleep to Cootie
He
talking.
did
The-
good. In the
the
beginning, I was
rumor
kind of
is
a
there's-
hater.
$30 million for the doc.
Yeah, Cootie's got a good life.
Which is
a steal.
light.
To own that in like perpetuity, like I don't know if
Imagine
it's a
the
10-year
impressions
license or what is
Netflix got on that.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone watched it.
Everyone watched it.
Everybody. And they'll watch it forever. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, Kanye's going to go do something insane again in 2 months, and everyone's going to go watch the documentary again.
2
Yeah.
months or yesterday.
Yeah.
Well, exactly. I mean, every day. But I'm saying, like,
Yeah.
2 years from now, he's going to do another crazy thing, and you're going to go watch the documentary again.
Yeah, exactly.
So good. Okay, Dee, who's your loser?
My loser is, back to Peloton.
Jeez.
Some funny business happening. The CEO of Peloton conveniently sold $50 million of stock to Michael Dell's company. Like, the guy just keeps getting rewarded. It's unbelievable.
It is unbelievable.
Like, just now?
Yeah,
he
today,
closed
yesterday. At $26 a share, $50 million. It was off the books, little hanky-panky transaction.
A little under the table.
Yeah. I mean, what does Michael Dell see in this? He probably loves the bike.
Maybe they're on a Russian yacht that's up for auction.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, I'll buy it for $50 million, Crater my private equity firm, but let's go 50-50 on a yacht.
And John Foley's like, you know what? Send me the money.
He's like, I love my bike. I've had a blast. I mean, really got me through COVID. Here's 50 mil. Yeah, okay. That's fair. Anand, who's your loser?
My loser is actually Russian citizens that don't actually want this war, which it seems like the majority don't. And they're the ones suffering. They're the ones who their money's going to be effectively worthless. All the corporations are stopped servicing them. And it's not their choice that there's this ruthless dictator doing things that wasn't even democratically elected. And they're the one, they get screwed. I don't want to say equally because Ukrainians are actually dying and Russian citizens in Russia aren't dying yet. Yeah. But I think they don't get talked about as like casualties of war. And I think it's going to get pretty ugly in Russia.
You want to know what makes me happy, and it's a weird thing to take this angle because it's currently going on and people are dying, but I feel like democracy has taken a few L's lately. Mm-hmm. And I feel like this is going to be a big L for like authoritarian dictatorships.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it's going to work out well, and I don't think it's going to work out with Russia being stronger and more united than ever. And oh, what a good sign that the authoritarian route is the one to go. Like I think it's going to be a big L for that style of leadership.
And I think that's why Xi's been quiet. He's seeing the uproar in Russian citizens. And guess what? Like 1.3 billion is way bigger than whatever the size of the population in Russia is.
Yeah.
So if you start, I mean, you share that story of a friend in China who says it's like prison.
Yeah.
So I thought he was going back to back with Taiwan. Like I thought you were going to invade Ukraine, and then Xi was going to make his move at the same time, and we were.
She doesn't make the obvious move.
Xi's priority is controlling 1.3 billion people.
Yeah,
that's first and foremost. Otherwise, you're not in power.
Yeah,
if you don't control them,
can't have the inmates running the asylum.
Exactly, 1.3 billion is bigger than Xi.
Yeah,
if they all march.
Yeah,
I agree. He's smart. But yeah, I don't know. I think it'll end. I mean, tomorrow's Friday once again, so let's wrap it up. And it'll be like, yo, that shit doesn't work anymore. I think. Yeah. I hope. What are we on? Oh, losers. My loser is also Kanye West because he put out a video. Sorry, I couldn't go too long without flipping him back to loser. He put out a music video where it would appear, I kind of watched clips of it before we started, it would appear that he is maybe beheading and burying alive Pete Davidson. Maybe Kim is involved too. I don't know. There's a casket. There's people being buried. He's walking around with a head in his arms. It's all like kind of like animation or like dolls or whatever you want to call it, like clay molds or whatever. But Yeah, it's just crazy, and you got to stop. And it's not a good look. I can only imagine the Ye army that's like verbally assaulting their girlfriends because they're like, yeah, like this is what Ye does, and like hitting up their exes and being like, I'm gonna kill you and fucking Chad.
I didn't even think that far. The second effects of that, but yeah, you're probably right. That's insane.
Can you imagine? You get your new Yeezys, you wear some fucking leather pants, and you're like, I'm killing Chad.
And if you think about the actions, like he's threatened these people publicly, meaning Kim and Pete, and then he got to take his kids to the Super Bowl. An average couple, if they go through a divorce and there's public accusations of you threatening them, you don't get to go hang out with your kids.
Yeah.
Kanye found some loophole because he's Kanye West that he got to hang out with his kids for the day. For the average person, you act crazy, whether it's the wife or the husband, you don't get to see your kids.
Yeah, yeah. I wonder if he loses. Does he lose his kids? Does he lose custody?
No, because that's not good for Kim's reputation.
Or the judges.
Anybody's. Do you think that Kim could kind of bury Kanye's reputation?
He's the G of American pop culture.
I mean, he may drive them out of the country.
Yeah. Who, Pete?
Kim.
Yeah.
There's a lot of yachts open if they want to go.
She could buy one.
I just think that if you're Kim Kardashian, you're the Kardashian machine, there's something to be gained by proving that Kanye is an unfit parent and winning that battle and making him look.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter.
You don't think?
It doesn't matter, dude. I don't think anyone with a sane mind thinks he's fit to be a full-time parent.
You don't think?
Yeah. But it doesn't matter.
Maybe him and Antonio Brown.
Yeah, Antonio Brown, sure. I'm sure he's going to be in his corner. But the internet, the comment section won't have anyone take away Kanye's kids.
Can Kim walk in LA or New York without getting harassed? I know she has security, so no one's going to beat her up or whatever.
No, yeah, it should be fine.
I think
so you're telling me you don't think people yell?
Remember the clip of her walking out of a store or whatever, and the guy was like, Kanye's better.
Yeah.
Like everywhere she walks in public like that, it's like, yo, fuck Pete Davidson.
Yeah, if she walked through, she can't walk through Fairfax.
Yeah.
I think she walks down Rodeo right now, and people are yelling "fuck Pete Davidson" at her. I think. Okay, content recommendations. What do you got, D?
Nothing. I haven't been able to watch anything, listen to anything. I have nothing.
I got one.
Busy week. What do you got?
Superhuman. It's the Uber show on Showtime. That's done by Brian Koppelman. Super Pumped. Sorry, not Superhuman.
That was going to be mine too, so we'll just share.
Yeah, we'll share. Super Pumped, done by Brian Koppelman, who did Billions. And then Mike Isaac, who wrote the book. Here's my first hot take. It's clearly from the side of Bill Gurley, because I know they know Bill Gurley. And I know they had no access to anyone on Travis's side. So I think they're just going to bury his ass.
Because Bill Gurley looks like a superhuman.
Yeah, and I've heard him on a podcast, and I was like,
But Bill Gurley didn't build Uber.
They're making it seem like he did.
If you had built Uber, you would have built Uber.
And the story's so flawed already in the first episode. It's entertaining. It's really good entertainment. Yeah. I have a friend who is an ex-employee of Uber. They're in a Slack. Travis is in the Slack, just fact-checking all the flaws in the first episode.
Wow.
Like, one of the flaws is they try to make it seem like everyone knows it was Garrett's idea and Travis executed. That's like known fact. We've been around the story. We know so many people around the story.
I remember Garrett telling me the story.
And in the first episode, did you watch it, Drama?
I watched 10 minutes.
Okay, they make it seem like that actually happened, but Travis just took all the credit, and it was like widely known amongst Uber employees. Travis always said this is Garrett's idea. I'm the one who's executing it.
Yeah, he's said that 100 times
publicly.
publicly.
He kind of lied to Bill Gurley a little bit on the show. Like, he was like, yeah, well, when I came up with the idea, came up with the idea.
And the biggest flaw in the episode, which is complete bullshit, because I know this for a fact, they make it seem like after Benchmark led, I think, the A, that they actually struggled to raise money, and he went to Gurley like begging, and Gurley was this hero. There is 0% chance Uber had trouble raising money after benchmark gathering.
I remember
Everyone was throwing them billions of dollars. This show is full of shit, but it's entertaining as hell.
That's a good take. I wish Travis would do a little Kanye move and post.
I think he will.
Like
I think
slaps.
after he sees how much nonsense there is, he should just go on the attack.
Yeah. I mean, I think the creator of Billions, now I question everything he did in Billions. Who did he talk to for all these stories of hedge funds?
It's bullshit.
I know. It's all full of shit. Because we just know this story too well.
It's like these
when you know the story.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
Because I will say, like, there's some editing choices and, like, you know, things popping up on the screen and, like, Bill Gurley, the baller. Like, it's just a little lame. But I liked it all in all. I was surprised. But, yeah, I agree. If you want the actual story of Uber, that's not
Talk to us.
Yeah.
We know it.
Yeah, I agree. And the book even. The book is, like, I think pretty, you know, more accurate. I'm sure that there would be complaints about it. But anytime you try to billions it up, you get screwed. Okay, well, that was my content recommendation too. So 2 birds, 1 stone. We're good. Do we have any shout outs or anything we need to talk about?
Yeah, I have one shout out. It's for a brand that sent us a bunch of stuff to the office. It's called Colorado Cannabinoids. And they're a startup brand out of Colorado, and they have a website, coloradocannabinoids.com, and they sent me a bunch of stuff. I use their muscle kind of reliever. It was actually great. It has CBD in it. Use the code group chat, 20% off. Check it out. There's a lot of high quality CBD products for sale. The peppermint oil was kind of nice and relaxing as well. So check them out.
Great.
Nice. There we go. Okay. Well, everyone have a great weekend. Looks like the war ends
Tomorrow.
Friday. So
Yeah. Happy Friday.
Congrats. Happy Friday. Everyone have a great war-free weekend. And we'll see you on Sunday. Bye-bye.
Peace.